2. So we are here today, Tuesday, April 28th. And we are here for the regular meeting of the Coppell City Council. There is a quorum present. We are virtual and present here, and so everyone is here. There is a quorum present, so I'll call the meeting to order. We will move directly into work session, and we have 2 items on our work session agenda. The first being the discussion regarding agenda items. Are there any items that anybody would like to discuss? I would like to let everybody know that item H has been requested to be pulled off the consent agenda. This is an item that we have a conflict of interest for Mr. Roden, so we will be considering that separately. Any other items? Hearing none. Then we would like to turn the program over to Hannah Cook, who will be, there she is, talking about the update on the city's website. Welcome, good to see you.
Thank you, Mayor, and great to see all of you too. Thank you for having me this evening. If I could get the PowerPoint, there we go. So tonight I wanted to take a few minutes to give you an update on the mobile app project and the website refresh project. Next slide, please. As you may remember, I came to you around this time last year to discuss the potential for exploring a mobile app option and also the potential for doing a website redesign. Next slide, please. Out of that discussion that we had last year, we had a couple of go-dos. So we determined that we would put emphasis on the website first, and then we agreed that we would focus on the app secondary to the website. So once we had a plan for the website, we would start to take on and consider what we might do for the app. However, we did agree that we would budget for both. So I budgeted $100,000 for the website design project and $10,000 for the mobile app project. And from there, we determined that our next step would be to go and interview vendors and participate in product demonstrations to see what possibilities were out there and what the options might be. Next slide, please. Just a brief history of our website today. Our website was last updated in 2015. The project specifications for our current website were, we wanted a site that was mobile responsive, easy to navigate, uncluttered. We wanted a potential for a mobile app. We wanted a website that was going to be icon and graphic friendly, and we needed accessible online services. Next slide, please. The website today, in reality, is not truly mobile responsive, and it's not really easy to navigate. The way that we have the website set up, everything is divided out by department. So if you're unfamiliar with how our local government works, you might not know where to go to find those services. And so it's really not that intuitive and easy for residents to navigate to find information. The website is not currently fully ADA compliant. It has a very complicated content management system, a CMS. The CMS is the online platform on the back end that staff logs into to make changes and updates to the website. We do have online services offered, but they're not necessarily intuitive. And our internal search function does not really work all that well. Next slide, please. For example, our content management system has a couple of issues that we've run into. On the coronavirus page, for the example, as you all know, this is a web page that is very, very important for our residents. We have lots of information on the web page that we've created, and it needs to be updated continuously. The little blue buttons on that web page aren't true website buttons. We actually created image files, uploaded those, and linked them. And the same to create the subpages. They're not true subpages. We use the icons to link to create a subpage system. Because it was set up that way, we have to make changes on multiple pages. It's not simple to make a quick change to the coronavirus page. Next slide, please. So I wanted to take a step back and just remind everybody what a responsive website is. So a mobile responsive website automatically scales to fit the screen that you're using. So for example, the orange text box that you can see on the screen, the same amount of text is in that orange box on every single screen, but it automatically adjusts to fit to the device that you're on. Next slide, please. Mobile responsive websites are designed to adapt to the way that the content is rendered on a variety of screens. And because of that, it delivers a perfect experience to the user regardless of whatever type of screen they're on. According to Google, 61% of users are unlikely to visit a mobile website that they've had trouble accessing from. Interestingly, 52% of visitors to our website in March of this year came from a mobile device. When we had this discussion last year, that statistic was 41%. So I thought that was an interesting increase. Granted, we have seen a major uptick in website visits throughout March and April due to the coronavirus pandemic, but I still thought that was interesting that that percentage has increased. Next slide, please. So the strategy that we developed coming away from our discussion last year was to conduct interviews and participate in product demonstrations with vendors. Before we sat down to figure out which vendors we would want to talk to, we created a list of requirements. First, we wanted the vendor to be on a cooperative contract, particularly either the Texas Department of Information, DIR contract schedule, or the U.S. General Services Administration, GSA schedule. The reason that we did that was these contracts are already competitively bid. And in many cases, you can get discounts on these contracts, or discounts are worked into these contracts. So we might not be able to get a better deal in some cases, or all these companies have already been vetted so that we know that their product and services are in use by other governments successfully. Next slide, please. We also were looking for vendors that could create a mobile responsive design, a truly mobile responsive design. We wanted a website that is easy to use, both for the residents and visitors coming to the page and for staff making changes on the back end. We wanted the website to be icon and graphic friendly, have accessible online services, and it must be fully ADA compliant. Next slide, please. So the vendors that we looked at, Imaginuity, which is our current vendor, Revise, Granicus, and Civic Plus. The last three of these vendors are really the three major players in government websites. Next slide, please. From our discussions and interviews with the vendors, we determined that Civic Plus offers a solution that we would be very interested in pursuing. That solution is Civic Engage. Civic Plus is on a GSA contract. They are on the federal contract schedule. Their websites are responsive. Their proposal includes a redesign option after 3 years. As part of the proposal, they would have consultants come on board to analyze all of the pages that we have on our current website and help us determine what would need to be migrated over. And they offer 24/7, 365 support with secure hosting and maintenance. Next slide, please. The Civic Engage solution also offers a very easy to use CMS, which is proprietary to Civic Plus. Their websites are graphically pleasing and image heavy. So as part of our proposal, it includes multiple pages with large banner images across the top. The website would be ADA compliant. We would have a couple of modified templates that we'd be able to use. So for example, we want our website branded City of Coppell. However, for some departments, it might make sense to have a slightly different template for Parks and Recreation and the library in particular. And so as part of the proposal, we would have access to a few of those templates that might be just ever so slightly different. Multiple modules are included, such as a calendar of events and news. There's an advanced search functionality, and they offer accessible online services. So next slide, please. The timeline to develop the website would be about 6 months. They'd take a couple of weeks to initiate the project, spend some time analyzing the current website, design and configure, do some testing, and then they would train staff on how to make changes on the back end. And then we would launch. Next slide. What about the app? Well, Civic Plus does that too. Next slide, please. A brief history of where we landed with the mobile app last year. We determined that it would be difficult to tie in the mobile app software or tie in any mobile app software to our current website. And the back end of the website, we really don't have a good repository of data to pull from. So the next steps we determined would be we would update the website first and then take another look at the mobile app. And knowing that there might be a slight time gap there, we wanted to be sure to consider emerging technologies such as bot and voice capabilities. Next slide. So the Civic Plus mobile app solution, CP Mobile, draws content directly from the website. It has native app features that allow for a custom user experience. So if you have your settings set up to allow location, the app would be able to pull your location to customize your experience based on where you are. The app also allows for voice input and integration with other apps. So for example, if there was an event listed on the City of Coppell app that you were interested in, you could quickly and easily hit share and share it directly to your personal Facebook page. Next slide, please. With the app, search is really center stage, so there's no need to search around or browse for information. You can find information very, very quickly. It's a very optimized and clean mobile experience, which enhances satisfaction. People like when they can find what they're looking for quickly. The app features take pressure off of other citizen touchpoints. So for example, if you can take care of business quickly over the app, you might not need to call somebody at town center, or you might not need to come up there in person. And the app is also ADA compliant. Next slide, please. The proposal from Civic Plus, I wanted to be sure to include on here our current website, what we paid for that, and then a couple of proposals that we asked for from Civic Plus. So we asked for a proposal for just the website, and then also a proposal for the website and app. Our current website, we paid just under $110,000 for in 2014, and we pay approximately $45,000 every year in hosting and maintenance fees. With the proposed website solution from Civic Plus, year one development and deployment would be just under $90,000, with about $10,000 annual hosting and maintenance, coming to a total of $99,600 in year one. Excuse me. If we were to do the website and mobile app, however, prices change a little bit. We would see a little increase in the annual hosting and maintenance fees, so that would go to $15,000 a year. But the total year one cost only increases by $200 for a total of $99,800. Next slide, please. So we determined that the best total solution would be to go ahead and do the mobile app and the website through Civic Plus. The timeline of the app would be a little bit different. They would focus on the website first because the app needs the website to pull information. But then once the website is up, they would be able to launch the app fairly quickly after that. Next slide. So we are not asking you to take any action today. Our next steps would be to bring this back to you for consideration at the next meeting on May 12th. Next slide. And at this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Questions? Councilmember Yingling.
Thank you, Mayor. So, Hannah, just out of curiosity, could you tell me what the elements are that make a website ADA compliant, as opposed to not?
Certainly, I won't pretend to know all of them, but I can give you a couple of examples.
Sure.
So, for example, when the visually impaired use a screen reader, everything on the website needs to be able to be read by that screen reader. Mm-hmm. So on pictures that are uploaded to the website are required to have alternate text attached to it, so that if a person can't actually view that picture, they can hear the description and get an idea of what it looks like. In the Civic Engage platform, they force alt text on photos. So you can't actually upload a photo and have it posted to the website without having alt text. Our current website does not have that feature, and therefore a lot of our photos get posted without that alt text. So we have to kind of go back and clean that up.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mayor?
Councilmember Mays.
Thank you. Hannah, in your pricing, I think you had a typo in there. You said the cost was $88,600 with just the plain website, and then with the app was 88 or 88.8 or something like that. You actually had 84,000 on the second one, so you might want to.
Oh, I will take a look at that. I apologize for
if
that.
you would. And so that was just kind of a detail. Could you explain to me on the content management on the mobile app, especially? You said it would be interactive. What portion of the mobile app will be interactive, whereas the web, the portal will not be?
So in a lot of ways, the website itself, viewed on a mobile phone, a mobile device, will be very similar to what's on the app, but there are also some differences. So the app, for example, while it will have that calendar module and the events module and things like that, it's really designed to be in an app format. So it is a little bit of a difference there. I can let Jared explain a little bit more of that because I'm not positive what that difference is. But the app also has capabilities that we won't necessarily have front and center on the website. So one of the things with the app is you can report issues. You can do that on our website now, but to do that, you'd have to pull out your phone, go to the website, find that service, and then report that issue. Whereas on the app, you can pull it up, report it right then and there.
You're going to have provisions to take a photograph of whatever you're reporting and have the GPS report the location automatically as well?
I am not 100% sure on that. Jared, I saw you nodding.
Yeah, so my understanding is when you do take the photo, it will capture the GPS location as well as kind of some basic metadata that's associated with the picture that you took. Of course, there could be some issues related to the phone that you're using, depending on how that works. For example, I mean, Samsung does it a little bit differently than iPhone, but at the end of the day, it should come back with the proper metadata that would allow you to have that data populate into the app. Worst case scenario, you'd have to key your address, the address of where you're at.
That's been my biggest problem. I always forget the address by the time I get back to the house. So being able to do it there would be a great help.
Right.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Matthew.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Hannah, for your presentation. I liked your presentation. Launching a mobile app for our residents is a big step forward. I like it. I support it. I think it's time for us to upgrade the website as well. I do have a question for you, Hannah, in regards to you mentioned about taking a picture of a sidewalk repair. Resident can launch that from the app and put the location. If it's not GPSly controlled, but you can put the location from there, wherever you are taking the picture from. My question is in regards to, we do launch surveys every year or every other year. Can we put the survey on the mobile app so the residents can fill them out?
That is not something that I had thought of, and we would be happy to take a look at that possibility. My initial concern would be that the surveys that we do yearly, or not annually, that we do every few years are statistically valid. And so therefore, we would have to find a way to control that on the app to make sure that we're getting an accurate representation of the community.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none. Great job. Looking forward to it. I think everybody has been waiting for this, and not only us as council members, but also citizens. So thank you for all this work, and we look forward to the continued conversation on the 12th.
Well, thank you. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you. That does it for work session. So we will adjourn from work session at 7:22. That means we have 8 minutes till we get to regular session, and we will recess until then. Thank you. Okay, we get to start on time. 7:30, and we will open regular session. To go. Tonight we have Council Member Wes Mays helping us with the invocation, and then we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Hold up, Wes. We don't have you on sound yet.
I can hear you.
Mayor, can you hear me?
Okay.
All right. Sorry about that. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, you are our Lord and Savior. In these uncertain times, we look to you. We look to you to keep us safe. We look to you to protect us from the wicked. You honor those who fear you. You honor those who keep a promise, even when it hurts. You honor those who help the needy and do not expect anything in return. You honor those who do not take advantage of those that are less fortunate. Teach us to look to you for guidance and your answers. Through the love of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. And please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is citizens' appearance. Do we have anyone who has submitted information for citizens' appearance? So no one has taken advantage of the several different items. They could have either sent an email or attempted to join us on this Zoom call. So the next item is the consent agenda. The consent agenda items are routine in nature and are generally enacted in one motion. These items have been previously discussed or approved through the budget. Any item may be pulled and considered separately. Full descriptions are available on the screen. today we would be considering items A through G. There is also an item H, but that has been pulled and we will consider it separately. So, any other items that council members would like to either discuss or pull to consider separately? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion. Councilmember Yingling.
Thanks, Mayor. I move to approve agenda items 6A through 6G.
Second by Councilmember Matthew. All in favor?
Long, Hinosa Smith, Mays, Roden, Yingling, Matthew Hill. In favor, none opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, item G, again, is a conflict of H, is considered a conflict of interest for Mr. Roden, so he will be disabled from this item. Consider approval of awarding a 1-year renewal of a citywide HVAC maintenance service to TD Industries, Inc. for the period May 1st through May 1st, 2020, in the amount of $273,981 as budgeted, and authorizing the city manager to sign all necessary documents. Are there any questions? We have discussed this several times, so any questions or comments? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion. Councilmember Hinojosa Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve item 6H.
And is there a second? Wes? Second by Councilmember Mays. All in favor?
Long, Hinosa Smith, Mays, Yingling, Matthew Hill. Where did Hill go? Julian, do you see Mark Hill?
Councilmember Hill, are you? You've lost your feed. Still have 5, so.
It looks like we lost him.
Okay.
Okay, the motion carries.
Motion carries. There he is. Did you vote yes on that last item? Yes? Okay, thank you. Okay, that is the end of the consent agenda. Item 7, consider a resolution extending the mayoral declaration of a state of emergency as a result of the COVID-19 virus and providing for an interim public safety measures and providing an effective date and authorizing the mayor to sign. Mr. Land.
Thank you, Mayor. And that's such a great point that we're now going to let our city attorney first address you, and then I'll follow up with him.
Mr. Hager.
Resolution that we have put together for you, which extends your prior mayoral declarations and the council's approval of those, as well as incorporating Governor Abbott's new executive orders 18, 19, and 20. As most of the citizens are aware, having read the newspaper, the internet, or watched television, Governor Abbott's executive order extends essential services, which we have for the last 30 days pretty much followed, things like grocery stores and other things that are open, practicing distancing. As well, the governor opened up retail businesses at 25% capacity of the facility based on their certificate of occupancy. And then also told us things that we cannot do. And if you'll indulge me for the benefit of our citizens, I will kind of go over real briefly. The Executive Order 18 still prohibits people from visiting bars, gyms, public swimming pools, interactive amusement venues such as bowling alleys, video arcades, massage establishments, tattoo studios, piercing studios, or cosmetology salons. So also theaters were allowed to participate. We can have sporting activities outside in groups of no more than 4, so you can play doubles tennis and I guess 2-on-2 basketball and maybe some other golf. It was specifically mentioned, so you can have a foursome.
I don't think the basketball counts because you have to social distance at the same time. So that's why they use specifically.
You could play horse.
You can play horse.
Figured that part out, even though I have a bad leg. So we've incorporated those executive orders to carry those forward, and even though they relax what we've previously done, I think there's good and legitimate reasons for you to carry on your prior mayoral orders as approved by the council. One of the things that I've researched today, and I've got some confirmation from this from TML, because FEMA money is available to the city during the declaration period, we would also ask that that part of your prior declarations as approved be carried forward so we would be eligible for those FEMA funds if we otherwise qualify. If we don't, there's some position in the Texas Administrative Code that would not allow us to access those funds if and when they become available through FEMA. So that's why we've done that. We've simplified the order to also include the Dallas County order in case there are some loopholes in the governor's order, so those get carried forward so that we can provide for the safety of our citizens. There are some differences between what Governor Abbott has done and County Judge Jenkins has done. We'll deal with those or let them deal with those. If it ends up in the court, we will be interesting spectators. But we've simplified the resolution. We've put hyperlinks in the resolution so that it can be easily accessed. If you want to know what's in GA18, you can hit the hyperlink and it'll take you to GA18. Instead of papering the front of our building with all these executive orders, we simplified this. The language that we have put in our order has been, unbeknownst to me, but approved by TML in their latest update. So we would ask you to consider it, and I'd be happy to answer any questions and turn it over to the city manager. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to take questions first?
Yeah, y'all go ahead.
Councilmember Mace.
Let's let Mike speak. I forgot he was going to be talking. I'm sure he's going to cover my question. So thank you.
All right. Okay.
Expectations
are high. Okay. Just wanted to go through, there has been a lot that has happened over the last week related to COVID-19 and the various orders. As many of you know, I believe it was on April the 23rd, the county amended their order to go through May the 15th as well for the stay-at-home order. So let me just read some things for you just to provide some clarification and along with Bob was saying. So related to the executive order from the governor, and this is from TML, plus if you read the order, and I've already been asked this question, did the governor's order last Monday, yesterday, lift or let expire his stay-at-home work order? The answer to that question is no, it didn't. What it did is it said that if you're going to access essential services or go to these reopened businesses, you're allowed to go. That's part of it. But the stay-at-home order itself is still in place, right? So it's a little bit of semantics, but it's really important because we had people calling us today, well, the governor said that we don't have stay-at-home, so how does Dallas County apply? Well, we're in Dallas County. Dallas County's stay-at-home order is basically still in place for us. It hasn't changed, and it's in place through May 15th. So the governor's order is allowing his order to expire on Thursday, and then this new order starts on May the 1st, right? And so for our citizens, the county stay-at-home order is still in place, and it is, according to Judge Jenkins and his conversations today during our call, consistent with the governor's office, as he verified that with the governor's office through talking directly to the governor this weekend and the governor's office to make sure that the county's order is consistent with the executive order from the governor. Another example, the county order requires all of us to wear a mask if we are engaging in the public, like going to the grocery store or going out and doing, in public settings, right? So in the governor's order, there's this language that says, we suggest highly that you follow the CDC recommendations and that you should wear your mask. In Dallas County, we have an order to wear a mask. In the governor's order says that no local jurisdiction can issue a citation or a fine if you don't wear the mask. The Dallas County order never does include the citation or the fine. So citizens are highly recommended by the governor to wear a mask. In Dallas County, we're required to wear a mask, but there is no fine or citation for that. So that gives you an idea about the nuance between what the words are that are used in press conferences and what the rule and the order says as far as how we are supposed to go forward. So another thing about it is there's this comment about religious activities. So if you follow what the governor said, that that cities can't limit more than what my rule or my order says, right? If you read his order talks about CDC guidelines about religious activities, and in those CDC guidelines, they don't recommend that churches meet in large assemblies, right? They still have the social distancing, but they don't recommend that they do it. Well, the Attorney General and the governor provided guidance for all of us about meeting in religious settings, and the lead is follow the CDC guidelines. But if you're going to meet, employ distancing, social distancing, right? So that gives you an idea about what's going on there. He says, for businesses, another thing that we can't do and we didn't do, and I don't believe the county did as well, based on my understanding, is that we can't do something beyond what CDC and the various rules say what's an essential business. And based on the reopening of businesses, those definitions. So we can't be more restrictive than the governor or the recommendations from the feds about what is an essential business. We don't do that. Dallas County doesn't do that. They follow the same activity. To Bob's point about the emergency declaration, it is important for you to continue the emergency declaration for the sole reason of being able to get reimbursed for funds if there are even going to be funds that would be reimbursed to us. So we are recommending that you are continuing on with the emergency declaration. And I believe, Bob, we said it's through May 12th. Is that right?
15th.
May 15th. Okay. And we have a council meeting on May 12th. So you'll have an opportunity then to review where we are and what the governor may or may not do between now and then, and what Dallas County does between now and then. As far as the Open Meetings Act, the governor's order that suspended these activities is still in place and will be through, I think, around May 11th or May 12th. And so our council meeting on May the 12th still will be conducted like this. As far as because you have the stay-at-home order and you have the suspension of the rules that allows for the virtual meetings. So that'll still take place then. Just to bring you up to date, what we're doing from a municipal standpoint, this is one of those times of, it's kind of like the sales tax rule. It wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. So we've been talking all along about when the time comes for us to re-invite the public into our public spaces, for example, City Hall or 265, how are we going to do that? So one of the catches in all this for us is that if you remember, the president, along with the CDC, describes specific guidelines for what has to happen for you, to phase open different things, right? And the one thing that everyone needs to remember is that the governor of Texas he's representing all 254 counties. And while we in this particular region are having a higher incidence of COVID-19 cases, same with Harris County, Bexar County, Travis County, the more urban areas, So he's looking at a statewide. So when you look at the numbers don't necessarily support the opening, if you will, for our particular area, but it may in other areas. And he talked about that. So for us, we're taking a look at it as how do we phase ourselves opening, since there's going to be an expectation of, well, if retail operations are open and at 25% and restaurants are open at 25%, he says specifically libraries and museums can be open at 25% and those types of things. But what's right for us in Dallas County in terms of trying to follow their rules, and also right for us to make sure that we have continuity of government. So we are still going to continue to do rotation of our employees like we've been doing with remote work and here. We are looking at opening 255, 265, these are addresses, Parkway, the Service Center, the Wagon Wheel Tennis Center, starting possibly next Monday. And the reason why I say starting possibly next Monday is because our facilities folks are taking a look at how do we introduce social distancing. Is it just markers on the floor and 6 feet? But you can't really do that at utility billing, because if somebody wants to pay by hand, if you will, there's no way to do the 6 feet. And we, as you know, we designed the space to be open. There is no glass or anything like that like they have over at the Justice Center. And so we're taking a look at long term, we're probably going to end up putting glass in that space. In the short term, can we even get the plexiglass, put in place so that we can protect them? We're also looking at providing, N95s for the personal protection, those that have the little filter, for those that have public-facing contact. So we're looking at all those things, and that's why I say May 4th is our target. It's our goal for those particular operations. But if we're not ready, there's no rush here, in terms of what's going on. Because since basically March the 13th, 14th, 16th, right around there, the middle of March, we've been open. We've been providing services to our citizens. Come Friday, May 1st, when the governor's order goes into place, it's not going to change. We're going to continue to provide services. Come Monday, May the 4th, we're going to continue to provide services. The question is, how do we open and invite our public in a safe manner for both the public and for us as employees? So one of the areas that we are looking at is library to go. So we know that our full catalog of CDs and books and everything is completely available. So folks can, and by the way, I was told today over 700 books are already reserved. So when the time comes that we do get open, but how do we deal with that backlog, but also how do we take orders for books and be able to deliver them? Because if you recall, on the restaurant to go, that they have parameters, and they say basically you don't hand it to the people, or the retail to go, you don't hand it to the people, you put it in their trunk. And so, how are we going to do? So those are the kinds of things that we're trying to address right now, and we'll have more clarity on that tomorrow morning. The other thing that we are talking about doing is modifying our hours, because in the governor's order, and there was, I'm not sure it was in the county's order, but I know in the governor's order, he talked about if you can accommodate seniors at a different time to help protect that class. So you have the grocery stores, for example, that have senior hours. So what we would do is we would still be open 8 to 5, but from 8 to 9 would be, let's call it senior time, where those that want to come in could come in then. And then from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m., we would be open, close the doors at 4 o'clock, which gives us time to do the sanitizing that needs to be done to get ready for the next day. So those are all the things that we are going through right now and evaluating as far as how do we open safely for the public, and can we do it in such a way that protects both the public and the employees. So that just gives you an update about where we are, what the judge's orders are, or what the county commissioner's orders are compared to the governor's orders, and how we're going through that. I will give you an example of the kind of phone calls that we started getting while the governor was speaking. While the governor was speaking, we were getting phone calls from our businesses because they couldn't find their COs to find their occupancy. So they're calling us to find out what their COs are. because they have to evaluate, is it even economical to open up with 25% of my customers, right, if that's a possibility. We were getting phone calls about, from an outdoor recreation standpoint, can we have organized practices? Well, no, that's not what the governor's order said, right? And so we know we're going to have people that are going to be upset with us about that, right? We are not going to go out and put up basketball goals because we already experienced that basketball goals and self-policing don't go hand in hand by people congregating and playing basketball. To your point, I was going to say Nancy, Councilmember Yingling, that we know for a fact that it's going to happen. And so why invite something that we're going to have to go out and police because people don't police themselves, right? So we got those kind of phone calls. We are getting phone calls from the businesses trying to understand the governor's order as it relates to the county's order. And so to Bob's comment, what we're doing is we're asking for people to have grace for us because we're in the middle of trying to figure out how to interpret two separate orders, even though they may fit in some ways, in other ways they don't, and that we're making the best judgments available with the public health and safety as being the primer for why we make the decision that we make. So that is an update on the COVID-19, the various orders, and what we're looking at going forward. And as soon as we have more definition, we will provide that information and push that out. I will tell you that one of the things that we are going to be doing daily over and over again, though, and it was mentioned today, as many of you have seen this, but as more and more people get out, the more and more there is this opportunity for the COVID-19 just because of the way it spreads. It's kind of like the proverbial ping pong ball, right? You come in contact. So we are going to be making sure we're putting out all the information we can about the CDC guidelines, safe distancing, wearing your mask, try to limit, to essential, right? Even though things are open, we all want to be out, as evidenced by what happened Thursday night, which was a great night. But we've got to, we've all got to take responsibility for not infecting someone else or being infected. And we've got to push that information out as people get out. And, Tracy mentioned today she was watching the news last night and they were talking about the street racing in Dallas. And, just think about all the different, she was noticing today there was an event being held around snow cones. And there were lots of people congregating. So that's what the concern is, and you've all heard that. So that's where we are in the city of Coppell, and I will tell you we have 24 cases. As folks that are diagnosed inside the city of Coppell with COVID-19. And I think that's it. Bob, was there anything else related to the orders?
Yeah, I wanted to mention, and we have done this in the past with the orders for Coppell. We had some what I call tailored or special provisions allowing the city manager to access emergency acquisition procurement during the period. Two, that the city manager has the ability to waive enforcement of an ordinance in order to such things with signage and some other things to help our businesses, as well as take care of deliveries and those kinds of things traditionally that we would not allow. And three, that we would suspend applications for zoning plats and other land use regulations since we're kind of, for lack of a better way, hamstrung about our ability to have a public hearing and have our citizens participate. So those are three things that we continue to put in the order that was in the previous orders that you approved, and we're going to carry those forward.
What was the first one again? I couldn't.
The first one was to allow the city manager to utilize federal emergency procurement in accordance with federal regulations. You don't have to go out and bid. If we needed something, he's got the ability to go out and get it.
Thanks.
Mayor, I wanted to add just just a couple more things. One of the things a couple of things that we're looking at too is in this new environment, we appreciate that people are anxious. right? And there are some people that are fearful, and understand that. We have employees who are fearful and anxious as well. And so we're trying to, deal or address that through our best efforts. Part of the flip of the way that we're doing business is everything now we're looking at, how do we go touchless? And so you may see over the next year some things related to our physical facilities that we may be bringing forward to you to be in a touchless environment. Also, as you know, this year, remember the great debate on whether or not a 30-plus-year-old air conditioning system needed replacing or not. Working with our vendor and looking at our air conditioning system and our air handling system, there are technologies that could help and help bring confidence to the way that we do air handling. So the touchless component of it, air handling component, everything that we do in this new environment is a complete new for us, for our vendors, and to be able to communicate with us. And at the end of the day, it's all in service to this community, right? It isn't because we're wanting to go do these kind of things, not because we don't want to. It's because there is an expectation that when people walk through those doors, that we're doing our best to protect their health. Now, there is no 100% guarantee, and we all understand that. But did we take the steps necessary to protect our employees and the public? That's what we're being tasked with. So I just wanted to kind of close with that's the approach that we're taking.
Just as a comment, you are not the only ones that are looking at all of those things. People in all kinds of areas. We had a conversation with Jason McCann at Very this last week through the chamber, and he was specifically talking about, door handles, doing away with door handles. Because think of how many people touch a door handle. The doors going in and out of a restroom. There should be different entry ways to get into a restroom, those types of things. And so he, in his world, is working on all kinds of new things to change the office environment. And there are a lot of people out there, a lot of really smart people who are trying to figure out ways to make everybody safer. And so I think we will see things change long term. And it'll be very interesting. And then again, I would like to say thank you to everyone for patience. Listening to the governor yesterday, my phone was going nuts, and I turned it over and turned it off the ringer because I wanted to listen to what he had to say instead of answering questions about what he just said. So it is an interesting time, and thank you, Mr. Hager. Thank you to TML for all of the things that those you do and that organization does to help bring together the best solutions. So, Councilmember Yingling.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mr. Hager, going back to the restaurants, one of the questions, I too had phone calls yesterday, and one of the questions I was asked by a restaurateur is, and I don't know that you know the answer to this question, but you might help me better understand and share the information, but we talked about how bars are not open, but restaurants that have bars, if they have seating in the bars, do you know if it's the bar area closed off, or could they utilize that seating if they?
It doesn't say specifically. Bar is usually a facility that serves mixed beverages without food service.
Okay.
We here in Coppell only have food service.
Okay.
I think it'll be up to the restaurateur, and because they have to keep spacing, and those bar seats are going to count towards their occupancy level.
25%.
So they may not want to use those bar seats, or they may have someone at the bar in order to eat, in order to social distance from. So it's going to be really up to the restaurateur, but their load capacity would be based on their certificate of occupancy, whether it was at the bar or whether it was in a booth or at a table.
Because right now at 25%, it's not that big of a deal, but as they open up to 50% and then maybe beyond that, that could be, before they get to 100%, then they have to decide. So,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
Mayor?
Councilmember Mace.
Thank you. Bob, in your draft resolution in section 1, you have a date, I think it says May 12th, that this resolution
I've
would
changed it to May 15th in the final one.
My question is, why would we not want to go out past that, since it's pretty clear from the governor's discussion that we're going to see a phase change? Why don't we just give the mayor the ability to make those changes through the end of the month?
I did. Later on in the resolution, it allows the mayor to authorize to amend the order to conform to additional amendments, but that will be at the time of our next meeting, and so things may change from today. As you all know, this seems to be a very fluid situation and is constantly changing, so we wanted to end our order in accordance with the governor, because he will, May 1st, and he said 15 days, May 15th, he is going to look at phase 2. And so, unfortunately, that'll be at or about the time of our meeting, so it would give us a chance to review what we may want to do with phase 2 coming online or not coming online.
So if we're doing because I heard him say that the earliest that they'd go to phase 2 was the 18th.
That's what I heard.
Okay.
Because like that gave him 2 weeks till the 15th to analyze data, and then the soonest that it would change would be the 18th.
Yeah, because you usually want 14 days between the time of changing the behavioral pattern to see what the infection rate would be.
And that's
or
why
the
they
RT
wanted the
rate.
data for that extra few days.
It'll give us a chance to review this back then. You've got that authority to continue this if we need to. So, does that answer your question, Mr. Mays?
So
It does, thank you.
are you thinking maybe we should do it till the 28th, which would
Yes,
be our
ma'am, I
second,
was.
and then we could actually revisit it on the 12th if there was something that we needed to change?
I was thinking the 28th, because as the city attorney said, you have the ability, or we have the ability, to make changes to the document to correspond to the changes by the state and county. So it makes sense to extend it out a couple of extra weeks, especially since we won't be meeting on the dates that their declarations are going to change.
My only concern about that, or question about that, is that going to give more confusion to people if we have ours out there with a different date on it, and then they're going to, because not everybody understands the dates.
That is true.
As well as the people that are making the decisions do. So I think that we can revisit it on the 12th, because we will be all together again. Because I think we start pushing it out further, it might give some people some panic because they don't know what that means. And then they've got all these different dates. They have the state date, the county date, and then the city Coppell date.
So if we match the governor's date, which I believe is the 18th, not the 15th.
I'm fine with that.
Whatever date that is.
I'll admit that I picked that date based on May 1st and 14 days, and then there was some I think we talked about some of the things with the Open Meetings Act. They end on May 12th.
Oh, so there's
You
lots
know,
of
the mayor's
different
got,
dates.
Yeah, there's dates all over the place.
Right,
and
but I think if we matched the governor's date, it may give some fluidity to people who are reading these things. We can always revisit it at our meeting on the 12th.
Yes.
I just think it prevents confusion for people who aren't making these decisions, and they read these dates and then they get even more confused. So
Yeah, because then when, like, if it's our date doesn't match, because I was having some questions asked of me is why our date didn't match the
Right.
governor's date, it didn't match the
Doesn't
county
match the
date,
county
it didn't
date.
match any date,
And
and
if-
it was.
if we
county
have a-
date's the 20th of May.
And if we have that opportunity to make it a little bit more fluid and easier for people, then I think we should take advantage of that and revisit it on the 12th when we have our meeting, because we have that ability to do that.
But if I may, we won't know anything more on the 12th than we know now, because the state and the county aren't going to change anything prior to that,
Well,
whether it's the 15th or 18th date.
we don't know that. We don't know that. That very well could happen. I mean, they could say something's coming out.
In the interim, the mayor's got the authority, the
right.
way I've written the order. I just need to put a date so that we get this back in front of you based on the best information, whenever that is. If it's the 18th, the 12th, the 15th, I'm happy to do any of those, or the 20th, because there's dates all over,
Yeah, you're right.
depending on the orders, and so I don't think there's
It would be
anything
nice
magic.
if all of the orders had the same date.
It
Maybe
would
we
be.
should make that suggestion.
I'll call the governor
Will
tomorrow.
you do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor, good luck with that.
I'll pick up the phone and see if he'll
So
answer.
is there a consensus to move it to the 18th or the 12th?
I would.
Yes.
I like the 18th.
The 18th matches what
What
we
the
believe
governor-
to be the governor order.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, I will make that change, and so if whoever makes the motion say has changed, then we'll be good.
Mayor, I have a question.
Please.
Thank you. Bob, I have a question. With the new order in place, can homeowner apply for a permit for home improvement projects?
If right now the answer is probably no, but construction is now opened up again, so we're going to have a handle on permitting, and I believe that we've been processing permits.
The way the order reads is if it is I hate using this word, if it's non-essential construction, then it's not permitted. Meaning, if you had if you were already doing some work in your home and you already had a permit in place, you can finish that. If you're doing some minor work in your home, for example, replacing a water heater, you can still do that because the way we're functioning. But if you're doing a brand new addition on your home, that would not be essential, and it needs to wait. Plus, remember, they also have this other problem, and Mark and Gary could probably address this better than I can. There is all these rules now about construction workers and how they have to split their work, and that's what slowed us down on some of our construction work too. So I know that we'll be talking about that again tomorrow, but as of right now, new construction, like a brand new home, that can continue on and everything like that. But something like if you're just doing add-on to your home, no. Or yeah.
But there'll be those loopholes.
Okay. Did you get that answered? Okay. Any other questions? So I'm looking at the board. Any other questions? Thank you very much. So, anybody want to stab at a motion? Councilmember Mace.
Thank you, Mayor. Had to make sure I was not on mute. I move to approve item number 7 with the date of May 18th inserted into the amendment number 1.
Section 1. That's good.
Okay. Is there a second? Councilmember Hill? All in favor?
Long, Hinosa, Smith, Mays, Rhoda, Yingling, Matthew Hill. In favor, none opposed. The motion carries.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Land. So, now you want to talk about the city manager's report?
Sure, I'll be happy to. Let me give just an update on some construction. Freeport, they completed setting the bridge beams and the prefabricated concrete panels for the bridge, so that's been moving along very well. In the next couple of weeks, the bridge work will continue, along with some hand pouring work for turn lanes and smaller sections that can't be slip formed. The anticipation is that the 4 lanes will be open by the end of May, with final completion in the summer. So that's the landscaping, the lights, and everything. On Parkway, all the paving repairs, and sidewalk is complete. The grass is down. I notice people are out watering their grass, so that's good. Over the next couple of weeks, irrigation work and landscaping will continue. One of the things that happened was that they had trouble getting delivery of some of the landscaping materials because some of the issues related to COVID-19. So that's why that's taken a little bit longer. Oak Grove Lane, if you haven't been out there, it's pretty amazing all the work that's been going on, but the utility work is complete. The sewer laterals are done, and over the next couple of weeks, they're going to be working on the westbound lane paving, removal, and construction, and that's still on target for the end of summer, early fall. And then the Bethel Road water loop, which it's on Bethel Road. Y'all know we seem to always be having some challenges out there. And they're working with the HOA this week as well. But the bore on the east side of Pinfolds is going west, is going on now, and that is a project completed, supposed to be completed by the end of May. So for everybody that travels up and down Bethel, I can't even predict when the next project will come up, but Bethel seems to attract projects, unfortunately. But by the end of May, that project should be completed. So, Mayor, that is all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for the city manager? Seeing none. Item 9, Mayor and Council reports. This is just a buy Coppell, shop Coppell commercial. Now more than ever, our local businesses need us to support them. When our businesses are supported, our community benefits, our businesses benefit, and our economy benefits. I was listening to someone today talk about how long the economy may take to come back, and it's kind of sobering, and it really kind of all depends on people's attitudes and their ability to make decisions and to support the businesses in the area. So it's very important that, because we have a variety of small retailers that have great one-of-a-kind products that you can't find them anywhere else. So it would be great for you to check out their websites, make sure that we look for things. You have to send a birthday present or something like that. Look at one of our local retailers and call them and see if you can't pick that up. You can, whether it's online or over the phone through their app or curbside pickup. And there's a lot of new ways to have fun doing that. You can take a picture and upload it to social media and hashtag #BeVocalShopLocal, then tag the city of Coppell to let us know about your experience. And I do hope, this is a special thanks to the staff, city manager's office, and some of the directors and everybody else who helped organize this wonderful pop-up parade that we had last week. There was a lot of people who didn't know that I was in that truck. I was in Big Red. I was wearing my mask. I had a couple of people that went, Karen, it's you. And I went, yes, it is. But it was really fun to see all the people that came out. People were there with their dinners and were their families, and it was kind of fun because some of the parking lots, there were people parked every other parking space. Everybody was doing the social distancing. It was very much fun. So thank you very much to staff for putting this all together. I think it turned out far better than anyone would have guessed. How many total cars were there? Like 70?
There were 75 cars, and a special thanks to Crystal and Mindy. They are the ones who really helped get that all organized along with some other staff. So really appreciate their efforts. That's one of those ones when you come with an idea, and as they Ashley's smiling now because I was like, why can't we just do it like last week when we thought about it? And it's like, it takes a little bit more planning, Mike. And it's like, okay, let me get out of here because I will screw this up.
Yeah. Well, it was a great event. I heard from a lot of people that it was just fun to be out and to participate. So even if you're seeing your neighbor across the street, it was great to see people. Council reports. We have a report on CFB and Carrollton Farmers Branch and Louisville. Mayor Pro Tem Mark Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. update for Louisville ISD. At-home learning is underway. The LISD technology team has installed outdoor Wi-Fi hotspots at several locations throughout the district for families to utilize during this unusual time. The district has announced potential graduation dates for the seniors, one set of dates for June, and then another set of dates for July in case the ceremony needs to be postponed due to COVID-19 circumstances. And then we'll move on to Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD. District served 56,400 meals last week to children who, this is often sometimes their only food that they get for the day. So it's important that these meals are served. They started an at-home learning hub that has been launched and employing a variety of different platforms like Seesaw, Google Classroom, Canvas, and Zoom. Understanding how important grades are to their students and parents, special COVID-19 grading procedures were sent out to families last week. The district's goal is for students to progress in their learning and to be fully supported during the process. CFB will host the Teacher of the Year ceremony via Facebook Live on May 12th at 6:30 p.m. So if everybody get on Facebook and support those teachers in consideration. CFB is currently reviewing all options for the graduation ceremony for those seniors, including a virtual ceremony. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Report on CISD, Coppell ISD, Councilmember Hinojosa Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. And Bijou, Councilmember Matthew, if I missed anything, please chime in. So as a parent of 2 children in CISD, I want to say thank you to Superintendent Dr. Hunt, to all the administrators, teachers, staff, and everybody at CISD who has done truly a phenomenal job in helping our students and parents with digital learning. Even on days when I want to cry, just listening to our principal, Laura Springer, it's very uplifting, and so I'm always looking forward to her weekly comments on Facebook, and just all our updates from our school district on a regular basis, just there to help everybody out. And the teachers have been so helpful, so flexible, and showing so much grace to the students and the parents. And so I just want to say, and I know they're working extremely hard, and I just want to say thank you to them, especially because well, one, just everything that we've been going through. I think we're now entering week 6 of our CISD distance learning. And then also next week is Teacher Appreciation Week. So I encourage everybody to send a message to your teacher and just say thank you. I know that will go a long way. Also, CISD is celebrating their 60th anniversary on Friday, May 1st. And so if you go on their website, they have a birthday bash site where they have a lot of different activities, including enjoying an evening on Friday with shopping local at your restaurants and eating at home so that everybody celebrates together. But happy birthday to CISD for 60 years. Also, this is Child Nutrition Week, which is Thursday, April 30th. And I guess we want to also thank all our child nutrition department, everybody that is doing an amazing job to make sure that our students are receiving lunch. And this week they also started to receive breakfast, and that's every day. And so our students are continuing to receive those meals, and I think over 10,000 meals so far since the district's closure have been given out. So thank you to all of them. What What else do we have? The other thing is enrollment. So normally we get emails in July about returning students. CISD has sent out those emails already. And so if you have not received it, CISD asks that you reach out to administration because those emails went out last week to make sure that returning students are registered, and kindergarten registration is also underway. So to be on the lookout for those emails. I shouldn't say sorry. And the other thing is just that they're also, like our seniors, there's a lot of information also on site with regards to our graduating seniors, and I appreciate all the efforts that have been made. There were signs that went out yesterday where everybody that's a senior was handed out one. And so it's cool, like when we're out on our walks, to see all the signs in the neighborhoods of all the seniors and recognizing them during this difficult time when they're not able to go to prom or have other activities that many of us have enjoyed in our senior year. And Councilmember Matthews, have I missed anything?
I think you covered all.
Okay,
Yeah.
Perfect. And that is my report for CISD.
Thank you very much. Report on North Lake College. Councilmember Yingling.
Thank you, Mayor. President Krista Schlenko sent over some very good information that I'd like to share with an update tonight. So the new construction science building project is continuing to progress during the COVID-19 closures. The site for the building has been cleared and graded, and they expect construction fencing for a future home of sign to be put in and installed any day now. The building is scheduled to be complete next April, so they can move in during the summer of 2021 and be ready for fall of 2021. So that's going to be an exciting time. Like most other colleges and universities, North Lake College and Dallas County Community colleges are finishing out the semester 100% virtually. They're staying in touch with Coppell ISD to be sure that the dual credit students, especially the seniors, get the support that they need to finish out the year strong. Also, like most of higher education, they will be conducting summer courses 100% online as well. Registration for summer classes started this week and have a full schedule of courses offering available. They are still following the county and state guidelines as they determine how to proceed for the fall classes. Their hope is to be back for on-site classes for the fall, and we'll wait as long as possible to make a decision. While many of the students are able to comfortably take their courses online, they have so many programs that rely on labs and hands-on instruction. So construction education is a perfect example, but also health professions, including nurses and EMT programs, along with technical programs like manufacturing and even science, IT, and video technology. They rely heavily on specialized equipment. They've also made great strides in providing support services for the students, such as access to counselors and nurses in the telehealth format. And on a last note for this topic, the DCCD Foundation has secured a $1 million for emergency aid for students. The application is quick and it's simple, and the aid covers academic and non-academic needs that help the students in the school. So that's very good news. North Lake College has a food pantry operation, and they're pleased to be able to get with our partners, our pantry items off campus and into the hands of our community partners such as MetroCrest Services and Urban Cares. And last Friday they delivered 30 boxes of food items to MetroCrest Services because they know how much the community is overwhelmed right now. So that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then Councilmember Mays, MetroCrest Services.
Thank you, Mayor. This is actually a non-periodic report. The CEO of MetroCrest, Tracy Eubanks, sent out a plea for additional volunteers last week. And after we listened to the mayor talk about the quantity of services that had increased, it was difficult without being there to see what that entailed. And my wife and I volunteered to help bag food last week on Thursday, and just seeing the enormous quantities of food items that were going through their warehouse, it was eye-opening. They are still very definitely short on volunteers and are more than welcome to take you for as much or as little time as you can volunteer to spend. The pantry was converted to a drive-through operation to reduce the social interaction. And for the month of April, their food pantry visits have been up over 200%. And even during the last week of April, it was up 375%. They are averaging 6,000 meals a day. Just unbelievable amount of our meals are being distributed. For Coppell specifics, they believe that Coppell families, they've counted that Coppell families will visit 130 times in April, which equates to a cost of about $13,400. And they expect over the period of time in consideration, April through July, that Coppell families will visit 573 times at a potential cost of over $59,000. For housing assistance, Metrocrest has been providing housing assistance for 13 rent payments for Coppell families. That compares to only 3 of April of last year. And so for the period of April through July, they're expecting to provide rent assistance 73 times for Coppell families for a projected cost of $36,500. So their overall cost to the residents of Coppell has been, for April through July, is $59,000 for food, $36,000 for rent, and they plan to project costs for workers, workforce support, and other services to be $98,900. They're expecting their grand total to be, for the city of Coppell, only $194,502. That is up considerably from the same period last year. I really would like to emphasize that the volunteer efforts at Metrocrest are very, very worthwhile. You can see the good coming out of whatever time you spend, and the staff at Metrocrest certainly appreciates our time. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Those are sobering statistics. Item 11 is public service announcements. Are there any announcements that anybody would like to make? Hearing none. We didn't have executive session, so there is no necessary action from executive session. So the time is 8:31. We have no more business, and we are adjourned. Thank you all.